Chapter 6. The first part of their journey was performing into melancholy, a disposition to be otherwise than tedious and unpleasant, but as they drew towards the end of their interesting in the appearance of a country which they were to inhabit overcame their dictation, and view of Barton Valley as they entered it gave them cheerfulness. It was a pleasant fertile spot, well wooded and rich in pasture. After winding along it for more than a mile they reached their own house. A small green court was the wall of its desk in front, a neat wicket gate admitting them into it. As a house Barton Cottage, though small, was comfortable and compact, but as cottage it was defective. For the building was regular, the roof was tiled, the window shutters were not painted green, nor were the walls covered with honeysuckles. A narrow passage led directly through the house into the garden behind. On each side of the entrance was a sitting room about 16 feet square, and beyond them were the office and the stairs. Four bedrooms and two garrets forming the rest of the house. It has not been built many years, and was in good repair. In comparison of Norland, is war poor and small-ended, but the tears which recollection calls for as they entered the house were soon dry away. They were carried by the joy of the servants on their arrival, and each for the sake of the other resolved to appear happy. It was very early in September. The season was fine, and from first seeing the place under the advantage of good weather they received an impression in its favour which was of material service in recommending it to their lasting approbation. The situation of the house was good. High hills rose immediately behind and at no great distance on each side, some of which were open downs, the others cultivated and woody. The village of Barton was chiefly on one of these hills, and forming a pleasant view from the cottage windows. The prospect in front was more extensive. It commanded the whole of the valley, or reached in the country beyond. The hills which surrounded the cottage terminated the valley in that direction under another name, and in another course it branched out again between two of the steps of them. With the size and fertility of house Mr. Dashwood was upon the whole well satisfied, for though her forming the style of light rendered many additions to the latter indispensable, yet to add and improve was the like to her, and she had at this time ready money enough to supply what was wanted of greater elegance to the apartment. As for the house itself, to be sure, said she, it is too small for our family, but we will make ourselves thoroughly comfortable for the present, and it's too late in the year for improvement. Perhaps in the spring, if I have plenty of money, as I dare say I shall, we may think about still building. This probably as both too small for such parties of friends as I hope to see often college, where and I have some talks trunking the patience into of them, with perhaps a part of their and leave the remainder of that other for an entrance with a new drawing room, which may be easily added, and the bedchamber and garret above will make it very snug little cottage. I could wish the stairs were handsome, but one must not expensive everything, so I suppose it would be no difficult matter with them. I shall see how much I am beforehand with the world in the spring, and we plan on reproving accordingly. In the meantime, till all alteration could be made from the savings of an income of 500, a European woman who never saved in her life. The work was enough to be content with the house as it was, and each of them busy in arranging their particular concerns, and endeavoring by placing around them their books and the other possessions to form themselves a home. Mary's plan for was unpacking and properly disposition of the Eleanor's drawings were affirmed to the walls of their sitting room. In such employees as these there were interrupted some breakfast the next day by the entrance of their landlord, who called to welcome them to Barton and of other. Then every accommodation from his own house and garden in which there might at present be deficit. Sir John Madelon was a good-looking man about 40. He had formerly visited at Shantley but it was too long ago for his young cousin to remember, as the style of his letter. Their arrival seemed to afford him real satisfaction, and their comfort to be an object of real solicitude to him. He said much of his earnest desire of their living in the most sociable them with his family and present them so cordially to dine at Barton Park every day till they were better settled at home, that though his entreaties were carried to a point of perseverance behind civility, they could not give offence. His kindness was not confident to words, for within an hour after he led them a large basket full of garden stuff and fruit arrived from the park, which followed before the end of the day by a present of game. He insisted everyone uncovering all their letters to and from the post from them, and would not be designed the satisfaction of sending them his newspaper every day. Lady Millington had sent every civil message by whom denied her in satisfaction of waiting on Mr. Dashwood as soon as she could be assured that her visit would be an inconvenience, and if this message was answered by invitation equally polite, her ladyship was introduced to them the next day. They were of course very anxious to see a person on whom so much of their comfort of Barton must depend, and the elegance of their appearance was formerly to their which Lady Milton was not more than 6 or 7 and 20. Her face was handsome, her figure tall and striking, and her address graceful. Her manners had all the elegance which her husband wanted, but they would have been improved by some share of his frankness and warmth, and her vision was long enough to distract something for their first admiration by showing that though perfectly well bred, she was reserved, cool, and had nothing to say for herself beyond the most commonplace inquiry or remark. Conversation, however, was not wanting, for Sir John was very cheery, and Lady Millination had taken the vast preoccupation of bringing with her their eldest child, a little boy about 6 years, by which means there was one subject always to be recorded to by the ladies in case extremely, for had they inquired his name, age, admired his beauty, and asked him questions which his mother answered for him while he hung about her, held down his head, to great surprise of their ladyship, who wondered at with become some before company, as she could make noises enough at home. On every formal visit a child ought to be of the party. but it was a provision for discourse in the present cause. A talk of 10 minutes determined wherever the boy were almost like father or mother, and in what particular he resembled either, for of course everybody different, and everybody was astonished at the opinion of the others. An opportunity was some to be given to the Dashwood of debating on the rest of the children, as Sir John would not leave the house without securing their promise of dimming out the bar the next day.